Welcome everybody. We're at ARC. We're here with James Redmond talking about industrial cybersecurity in the context of the new offering. Maybe talk a little about what is it and what new benefits offers to the market.
Sure. So what our new offering does is it is a software update to the SCADAPack 470i, which is our latest RTU we released about a year and a half ago. And what it provides is IT and OT security compatibility with standard solutions like Active Directory, Syslog, CyberArk, SolarWinds. So our customers can easily leverage their existing training capabilities, systems in IT or OT security, and take them right to the lift station, right to their wastewater networks, through their pipeline, through their artificial lift systems in upstream. Because what we see, of course, is regrettably there's a lot of threats to OT, including telemetry assets.
Now, talk a little about how come companies balance the implementing robust security measures and maintain seamless operation, particularly in a resource-constrained environment?
That's an excellent question, and our solution's really designed, I believe, to help them accomplish that. Because, of course, all companies have Active Directory already in place, right? It manages our Windows instantiations, what our privileges are, controls whether or not we have an active email address, as simple as that. Likewise, they have systems, of course, for second factor of authentication, in most cases, tools to monitor local enforcement policies like SolarWinds or CyberArk, and Syslog to see if someone's trying to access in an unauthorized way our equipment. So our idea is you take that, you have people trained in that, you have the tools, and apply it to an OT network with a minimum of investment, and then apply it right to the RTU level. So now you can know if someone's trying to access your lift station in an unauthorized way. You can monitor for that network help. You can control which technicians can access which equipment, where, and what their privileges are. Can they change the configuration, or can they just view the logs? Can the engineer change the equipment or view the logs? So it's really about providing that capability in a way that OT and IT both understand with a minimum of disruption and investment.
Got a couple of questions while you're going through that. So CyberArk, maybe explain a little bit more what that is. And then do you have a favorite metrics for measuring cybersecurity? How secure are you? And what's your favorite metrics for that?
Okay, so CyberArk is one type of privileged access management tool. SolarWinds is another one. So there's further ones, of course, available to the industry as well. These are the ones I've heard most often from our customers. So how we interface with them is we provide a SSH client, so a command line, and a similar one to a Cisco style router. So things both IT understands. And these tools can be then used with scripts, very common in the industry, to interrogate our equipment and other equipment, of course, monitor what policies are in place, create local accounts, remove local accounts, force password changes. So again, all standard IT type equipment. Where the value becomes, for instance, we know we have customers where they bring contractors on site temporarily to work on equipment. So they can use a tool like one of these PAMs to create a set of local accounts to allow the contractors to do their work, remove those automatically. If they want to tighten up security even more, the clients, so the technicians hypothetically, can even go into their web tools, check out the passwords for that specific type of equipment they need. CyberArk will make that access available. And then when the technician or the operator checks that back in, it removes that access. So again, you can further control access to these critical resources.
Thank you for that. And we'll double click on that control access shortly, but maybe going back to your favorite metrics for cybersecurity.
Oh, indeed. It's about achieving further and further. IEC 62443 appears certainly in the telemetry industry to becoming the accepted standard for compliance. So it's about achieving deeper compliance with what's available to that. So we're certainly just about at SL1 compliance for the SCADAPack product, for the SCADAPack Active offers now. We're working towards SL2 as we kind of enhance those capabilities. In terms of metrics, we can go through, in detail the results of our penetration testing that we perform on each subsequent release, and we also, of course, perform synoptics, adaptive synoptics testing, Achilles testing as well, just to monitor the robustness in terms of how much denial of service or similar type situations you can handle. And what we found is the product will continue to operate seamlessly through that.
Thank you. Now, SCADAPack RTUs are the first, or among the first, the market to integrate the role-based access control. Can you explain how does this feature simplify access control and enhance the security on a large-scale operation?
Indeed. And that, I think, is a major benefit of this. So if we consider a current system using a more traditional RTU offer, many of these have security built into it, to be perfectly fair. But like our much older SCADAPacks that we since retired, they have a local account, an account specific to a device that's managed through a bespoke tool. So if an operator or system administrator needs to update the credentials on each device, they need to go through, log in with that bespoke tool, log into RTU1, change the credentials, log out, log into RTU2, perform a series of manual operations, change the credentials, repeat. Now, if you fast forward and say that takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 3 minutes, multiply that by 200 or 300 units that a typical operator might have access to, whenever someone leaves or joins the operation, you're looking at a week's worth of work. That's often manual and unfortunately error-prone.
Yeah, you bring it up a good point. So, if you look at studies that show human error plays a role, a significant role in the percentage of security breaches, how can this role-based access control and other IT approaches help mitigate this risk?
Well, if you consider doing that same style of operation in Active Directory, so you have your OT network, you have your operator's account on that OT network, using Active Directory, or in theory another directory service, you can do that in a few clicks. Within 3 minutes, you can remove that person's access from the network. In the same way that happens when someone leaves an organization and their email access is canceled, and it will fan through the network in a matter of minutes. So it reduces it by 2 orders of magnitude in terms of labor required.
Okay, all right. So can you share some examples of how this, this SCADA RTU has improved the operation efficiency and reduced cost? You mentioned, 2x. Any other examples you may have there?
Certainly. So one of our major water customers is working with us. They're finishing up a beta program, and they're looking at adopting this. So their primary motivation is really about enhancing the security. Regrettably, they see real attempts to infiltrate their organization. And to really improve their security posture, they're going to introduce role-based access control. So further protecting their equipment by requiring the standard login, tying it into a second factor authentication system to even further enhance this. And then using that, they can further ensure with their own efforts that it's more difficult to affect their operations. So it's really about reducing a risk to critical operations. Now, in terms of making the business more efficient, reducing costs, the primary benefit there is where you have organizations where it's pushed into them from a regulatory standpoint. So a good example would be in the United States, where you have the pipeline directives that impose on midstream significant fines if certain measures aren't taken. And in that case, when an operator leaves within a certain number of days, that person's access to equipment has to be removed. Doing this in the approach I've described with Active Directory reduces that task to minutes. Vice having to do that equipment by equipment, as we discussed, can be a significant investment, right? Potentially of hours or days of someone's effort.
Got it, thank you. Now, managing RTUs access in harsh environment it's always a challenge. So how does this combination between the ROG software with Linux flexibility in the SCADAPack address this issue?
Indeed. So our hardware is designed for a fairly unique mission profile. So wide temperature operation, minus 40 to 70 degrees Celsius. Class 1 Div 2 or ATEX or ICX Zone 2. So harsh environments, we have conformal coding both to resist hazardous chemicals as well as to resist salinity. We have other measures there. So it's really designed to sit in a panel out in the middle of nowhere as a low-power device. And this is kind of an important distinction from in-plant automation in that we're not sitting in a factory, we're not sitting in a plant where the cybersecurity mechanism can be a strong fence around everything within that facility. This is very often out on its own, connected to a cell modem, maybe a satellite link, maybe a data radio, so you have to build in a lot of that security posture there. And that's kind of where the unique mission profile of an RTU ties into, I believe, the benefits.
Thank you for the insights. Now, looking ahead, what excites you the most about the potential of this smart RTUs, integrated edge platforms to transform industry like the water you've mentioned, but others like oil and gas and energy over the next 10 years?
Oh, indeed. Okay, so above and beyond security, we've built in to our platform a traditional RTOS that performs those traditional functionalities you expect of an RTU. So we have integrated logic, we have the telemetry protocols our customers rely on, the ease of configuration, the ability to interface directly with SCADA. But with our Linux processing capability, in addition to that, we can use Python, for instance, to run data analysis right at the edge. And that mitigates one of the frequent challenges, which is a low bandwidth connection. So you can transform all that data you gather on site and turn it into information that just highlights really what is needed at the SCADA level, what needs to go to an operator, and to reduce your costs of data, to reduce your transmission of data, to reduce the backfill you need if the site goes in and out of connection, which is another frequent problem. Further to that, you can run a lot of these edge mechanisms, these applications, developed in a much more easier way to further optimize the operations out of the edge.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've mentioned Python, but what is the default language for this RTU program? Is it IEC 61131? What is it?
For control, it's IEC 61131,
mm-hmm.
yes. But with our Linux processor, we can tie into different general purpose languages. So mm-hmm. we have one customer that's using C, we've had customers that are using Python, Node-RED as well. So different approaches.
Got it, thank you. And what's the environment that sort of you communicate with it, or directly from C? From your going, or do you have
So we have an API mm-hmm. That's available that's primarily focused on C users, but it can also be used with other languages as well. What we found most of our customers benefit from, and what we recommend, is to look at using Docker containers. So we have Docker support there. Mm-hmm. You create your application inside a container. You can use different tools, of course, to look at what resources it's using, and as well to control the interfaces and deploy it more easily.
James, thank you so much. And if you're in the audience, feel free to leverage the hashtag you see there, and we'll get it to James and his team to answer them. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.